Today I'm going to show you a really easy go-to makeup look for just a simple everyday look. First I'm going to use my Milk Makeup Blur Stick, and we're just going to put this over my whole face. This is going to be kind of like a primer and also just make the rest of my face look better. I'm not using a tinted moisturizer today because I don't feel like wearing that every day. It's a lot to wear. So instead we're just going to use some concealer. Sephora Bright Future. So I have a little bit of a dark circle and I like to use this. We're going to put a little bit under here, top of the nose, and right there. And I like to use kind of a fluffy, dense brush. For acne or like a spot that you want to correct, you can just dab it in. For under eye area, I like to just lightly buff it out. And I use this also on the top of the lid. Then I'm going to use the Milk Makeup Flex Concealer, just kind of lightly covering the same spots. Same brush, and just kind of dabbing that away. And then again, buffing this part out. You want to make sure that you're not putting it just right beneath your eye, because that'll give you like the opposite effect where it looks like you have a really bright raccoon eye. So you want to make sure you pull it down and out and come across this way as well. This is the Kat Von D translucent setting powder. I'm going to use this to set in what I've already put on there. This is definitely optional if you don't have an oily or combination type of complexion. You don't necessarily need this step. You don't need a lot. A little bit really goes a long way. If you put too much on, it'll end up getting cakey and creased looking. You could also use a pressed powder instead of a loose powder. So I'm gonna do some light filling in of the brows. This is the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. But I like to just fill in a little bit here, and then I fill in a little bit on the tail. If you really feel like you penciled in a lot, then I always take the little brush spoolie part and just go back over and kind of push them up. If you like the color of your brows and you don't feel that they need to be filled in anywhere, then you can also just use a clear mascara or a clear brow gel and just do exactly this where you just push them up. So I'm gonna do a really slight contour just under my cheekbone, and I'm using a darker bronzing color, using these two colors right here. And this brush is really fluffy. So since I don't have a real contouring brush, I just kind of squeeze it flat. So it creates a little bit more of a fan brush. You want to find the hollows of your cheek and then just apply here. It's really, really important to make sure this is blended super well. You can also kind of brush it up into your temple area. I have bangs, so you don't really see that a whole lot. You can also pull it a little bit down here. Don't put a lot under here. And you can see it's just blending, lots of blending. You don't want to pull it all the way into your mouth, so just kind of right under the apple of your cheek. Then I'm going to use some blush. I use an angled brush here, and this is going to go right on top of that darker color, but closer to on top of the apple of the cheek. And then I like to create a C shape, and again, just lots of blending. So a lot of people don't wear tons of eyeshadow, which is totally fine. I usually wear an eyeshadow just because I do have a lot of veins on the top of my eyes. So I like to use a very nude colored eyeshadow that kind of blends into my complexion, and that's a really, really simple go-to look. So I'm using the NYX Ultimate palette. I use this palette pretty much every single day. It's got a ton of different colors in it. So I'm just gonna pick one of the lighter colors and use a really fluffy brush and just put it all over my lid. So directly under the brow, on top of the lid, and everywhere in between. And it just gives a little bit of a cleaner palette to work with. I also find that when you put on some eyeshadow, if you're putting on a liner afterwards, it allows the liner to not transfer to your lid as easily. So I'm gonna take a slightly darker color. Not feeling too crazy today, so maybe I'll do this one. And a big, round, fluffy brush. And then I'm gonna look for my crease. I have very small eyes, so I always find where my crease is, which is here, and then apply right above that. If I apply it right on the crease, it makes my eyes look smaller. So I'm gonna try to open them up. And you always wanna start in a corner and then just kind of apply back and forth. And I'm really gently dragging the brush across, and then I take a big fluffy blending brush and just follow back and forth, same exact pattern. I'm gonna do a Sephora pencil in brown. Nothing too complicated, just going to pull a little bit from the outside. Just a tiny little bit of a wing to open up my eyes. Same thing over here. I'm gonna blend it out a little bit, just so it's not as harsh. Eyelash curler. Again, not necessary, but definitely needed for me. This one is good for traveling. It's really nice and compact. I got it on Amazon. It's by Japonesque. Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir, favorite mascara of all time. This part always takes me the longest. And you don't want to wiggle the mascara wand, you just want to start at the base and pull up. And I like to put mascara on my bottom lashes too because they're so blonde. And now a very light lip. And I like to apply just on the bottom in the middle. And right on my Cupid's bow, and then use my finger to smear it. And that's it.